Halloween.
Forever.
What did the ghost say to the vampire as the ball dropped and clock struck midnight?
I don't know.
What?
Happy New Fear. Welcome to another Minisode of the Halloween is Forever podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Adam.
And I'm also Adam.
Welcome to the third part of Deathcember. That's the Halloween is Forever podcast, kind of holiday programming. And if you've listened to the last two parts, then you know that my co-hosts Brian and Meg have had their special guest hosts on to talk about this anthology of Christmas horror. Well, I've gone big and I've brought in my own co-host from the Hop Nation USA podcast. Adam, say hello.
That's right.
Again.
Hello, Steve. Thank you for bringing in the heavies for this very special episode. Bringing in the Buffaloes. I appreciate that.
And I've also reached out and grabbed an entire whole other podcast and brought them in. And I have from Decayin With The Boys, Adam Bashline and Matt.
What is up?
Hey guys, what's up?
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to 2022. The future.
Future sucks.
Future
it feels
is
as shitty as last year.
The future is balls, but you know, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about horror movies, and we're going to talk about beers. And if you guys have a snack, you can talk about a snack you have. I don't know what you've got going on because we're on the Zoom, doing the Zoom shows, but I know we all have beers. And I'll let whoever wants to go first with a beer introduce their beer.
So my beer for the evening, since I'm on Halloween is Forever tonight, I have the Shat-Faced Pumpkin Roll Ale from Bash Brew. It's I still have a keg of it left in my fridge, and I got to get rid of it. So I'm drinking that down.
And just for the people at home who may not know, as you are new to this show, you are a home brewer, and that's your own beer that you brew. And
it is. Very self-serving of me.
Yeah. And Shat-Face.
Literally.
Self-serving self, yes. The Shat-Face is a reference to the William Shatner mask from Halloween.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. People got to see the art to get the whole vibe of the Shat-Face Pumpkin Ale. But yeah, it's good beer. We've had it on Hop Nation USA before.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyable. Matt, what are you drinking?
I don't know if it's spooky or not, but it puts two terrifying animals together. It's from Aslan Beer Co. It's Velociraptor. It's fun. It's a nice 5.5, little hazy guy, and I always seem to find a 4-pack somewhere, and I've liked them, and it's flavorful, and I wanted something tame because I'm very excited to be on Halloween is Forever, and I don't want to fuck up.
Don't want to get blackout and ramble? Sure, okay, that makes sense.
That's for the next episode when you invite me back, maybe.
Yeah, it's cool. Hop Nation, Adam, what are you drinking?
Something, again, very self-serving. I've had this show, or I had this beer on our show. You've had it, Steve, as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a few more in my fridge, and I needed a good reason to drink it. And this seemed like just as good a reason as any. This is the New Glarus Spotted Cow.
Fun.
I needed that in my life, and I already had it on our show. This is another opportunity to showcase it to other people.
Yeah,
I got it. I'm happy I have it. I'm gonna drink it and enjoy it.
That's just coming on and, you know, having just a mild flex for our show, saying, you know, over on the Hop Nation USA, we drink New Glarus. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's not uncommon that it's not the first New Glarus beer on this show, though. So
no, I know that fully well.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it was self-serving, because I don't care.
Fair
this
enough.
is all about me.
Fair enough.
I get to drink this beer.
Yeah. Myself, I'm drinking a beer that I've also had on Hop Nation before, but this is a very apropos for the time. It's called the Winter Solstice. It is a Cascadian dark ale with spruce tips and it is a collaboration between Allegheny City Brewing and a soon-to-open Fermata Brewing. Again, it's opening in 2022, so I thought that was pretty appropriate, being that that's the year we're in now. But I was going to drink the Cinderlands She's a Beaut Spruce IPA, but I believe Brian had that on part 1, and I didn't want to be a copycat, so I'll merely copy myself from another show. But yeah, overall, great beer. It's got a lot of piney and floral notes on it, and it's super enjoyable. And I look forward to more from Fermata. Get some good brewing in Beaver County. That'd be kind of dope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That'd be a great thing. But
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. So yes, those are the beers we're drinking. And as you may or may not know, we have a showdown coming up next week, because this is Monday, January the 3rd. And we postponed our showdown simply because of the holidays. But there's 5 Mondays in January, so we can still make it up and everything falls on the right timeline. Everything works out. So next week will be our showdown episode. And I have it on good authority of what movies we're going to be watching. If you remember, the topic that was voted on was back to school. So the films we are watching are all school related. And with that, Meg has chosen to do the original Carrie, the 1976 classic with Sissy Spacek. Brian, our current champion, he's elected to do Night of the Creeps. Obviously, he's showing Tom Atkins love on this one. Pittsburgh hometown favorite. And I have chosen the ensemble cast Scream 2. I think it's, I think it might be a little superior to Scream 1, even though they're both school technically. I'm going with Scream 2. But I think it has the stronger story. It's got a lot more playing with the meta, and it has a lot of more interesting things to go back to, especially as in February we will be getting a brand new Scream installment, and hopefully it can redeem Scream 4 in some way. So we'll see with that coming up. So those are the movies we'll be watching. And if you want to check us out on the social medias, all you have to do is search Halloween is Forever. Almost did it the Hop Nation.
Mm-hmm. Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. But Halloween is Forever on Instagram, Hallow Forever on Twitter, Halloween is Forever Pod on Facebook and the TikToks. Or you can just email us, send us one of those old emails at halloweenisforeverpod@gmail.com. With that, though, we are talking about a movie. It's an anthology, so it's actually a bunch of movies. And it is called Deathcember. Free on the Tubi. Who loves the Tubi?
I love Tubi. Fallen in love, stolen my heart.
Tubi rules.
So, admittedly, for this show, this is the first time I had used Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm buying in.
Dude, there's so much, but that's the thing. You don't have to buy in; it's free to be free.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. They have Tremors.
Yeah,
on the front page.
All the Tremors too. It's not
them.
Like, no, just throw something one. You get them all, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All.
I think they're missing a Tremors. I didn't look. There's like 7 or 8 Tremors films.
Yeah.
So
they have the little dwarfy ones that fart, that's the one I want to watch real bad.
I think that's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It might be both of them.
They have the babies. And
Yeah. That's where they learn to fly. So that's either it's either 2 or 3. I think 2 is just the one where they regular walk.
Which one do they go to space? That happens eventually, right? Doesn't everything go to space?
That's probably the next one. Because 4 was when they went back in time to the Old West.
Yeah. Origins.
So it'll be Tremors, Hobbs and Shaw.
Right. It'd be like, what is it? Bert and what the hell is Kevin Bacon's character's name?
Oh, you super lost me there.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's only in the one movie, but yeah, you always have to have Bert Gummer. I think he's in every one of the movies. So, but yeah, 5 is, I think, Antarctica. 7 is on an island.
Jesus, man.
As long as the check clears.
Yeah, right.
Put him in a tornado next.
Hmm.
I like put him in a tornado. Tremor tornado.
Tremornado.
Tremornado. Yeah, perfect.
Tremornado.
Tubi, sign it up. Sign it up.
Well, yeah, that's Tubi's job. That's not our job. Our job is to talk about Deathcember. And specifically, we're talking about the last 8 films, as you may have heard. And if you haven't, go check it out. But Brian did the first 8. Meg has done the second 8. Now we're doing the third 8 of a 24 film anthology. And December, for those of you who don't know, came out in 2019. And of course, it's full of a bunch of actors that you may or may not know, and a bunch of directors that you may or may not know, and a bunch of stories that may or may not be good.
Such an accurate description, man.
That is the accurate description of every anthology.
Yep.
I know, Hop Nation Adam, you don't have that kind of I don't know, touch with horror films, but Matt
Nope,
and
I am the outlier on this, and I already know that coming in here.
yeah, well, that's why I brought you on, because I think it's important to get a different side of things. But
And oh
Matt,
boy, are you?
Matt and Bashline, I know you guys, you've probably at least seen one of the ABCs of death.
Both of them, baby.
You seen them both?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like again, that's very similar, and that's 26 films. This is 24, but well, it's 26 because there's 2 secret films within the credits, but people may or may not know that if they sat around for the credits. I'll start with Matt. What was your initial impressions? Just like I'm assuming you watched the entire thing, so
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I'll be completely honest. I turned it off after the first 4 to go get whiskey to come back, and then I like a soldier, man. I just sat there still, just watching it, trying to take everything in, and then cussing Steve out in my brain because I had to focus on 8 of them. So I really had to put my attention into the last 8, and then I went back and watched the 8 we were going to talk about again, and I found things in each one that I liked. I felt like each one of these things did this one thing really well, whether it be like lighting or gore factor or scare factor. They're not all super cohesive, but I think each one had this one moment that I really liked. So that's kind of what I took away from it. It's weird to say it's not as good as the ABCs of Death, but It wasn't the worst anthology I've ever seen.
Fair enough.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Bashline, similar thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I could pretty much echo what Matt said. Like, it's not as good as the ABCs of Death, but I watched the first 8, and then I texted you, Steve, to say, which ones do I have to watch? Because the first 8 were so garbage. I was like, I don't know if I can make it. But I powered through, and like Matt, I rewatched them again today just to kind of bounce my notes off them again. And actually, in the last 8/10 that we watched, I found some enjoyable parts in most of them. I can't say I found something to enjoy in all of them, but most of them.
Fair. And Hop Nation Adam, I'm going to assume that you only watched the 8 that you had to.
No, I watched 1 or 2 additional because I tried to hit exactly on number 17 to go the rest of the way, and I missed it a little bit. And I thought, I'll just watch the rest. I'll watch the 2 in front of it and see what happens.
Fair enough.
So I did the assignment.
Okay. I wasn't accusing you of not doing the assignment. I'm just now from your perspective of, I assumed you wouldn't watch more than you really had to.
I did not. I did not.
But of what you watched, how are your thoughts going?
So I kind of had the same thought process of, these aren't supposed to be good, are they? As some others have already reflected. Now, there were 1 or 2 that I did find enjoyable. 1 or 2 I could even say were relatable. But to say they were masterpieces, no.
Okay.
Not at all.
I don't think. Personally, I would say there's maybe like 2 that really stuck out to me that are like excellent, superb short films that you could show anywhere, anytime. The rest is kind of a grab bag. There's some that don't even make sense, within the whole scope. There are some that, I mean, they stuck to the assignment of making a holiday themed short horror film, and they did okay. The thing with short films is, man, endings are fucking hard. You ever?
Yeah.
As a person who had to write short films a lot, and endings are really hard when you don't have a lot to build up with it. And we can get in to the films that we did, and we'll start right off the bat with number 17. It was called Pig, and this was a German film. That's the other part of this anthology, and it doesn't help it, but it is an international anthology. And it doesn't help it because I feel a lot of the films that aren't American or Canadian made lose some translation, especially, again, when you're working in that short film format. You need to be as effective as a communicator as possible. And that, I'm not knocking the filmmakers on this. I'm just saying our dumb American asses are going to miss nuance. So I think, we'll start with Pig. And Pig is basically a German film set in a nightclub. The nightclub it's a kind of on the line of a sex club, but not a full-on sex club. And you get this opening shot of a man being branded with a P as he goes into the club, and he is flirty with some of the women. You also have these flashes to other time when a woman is, saying that she remembers a man's face. Basically, the film breaks down into these two A-B stories of, you see what apparently is a training montage for women who have been sexually assaulted, and the club in which they are hunting this guy. It breaks down pretty easily like that. I think as far as storytelling, it's effective because it tells you where you're going, and it tells you what you're doing. You know that, these women are hunting this guy, and then why they're hunting him. It also shows you kind of, a lot of the emotion on their side. My question is, where is the Christmas?
That's exactly what I was thinking the entire time I'm watching this, because this is actually the one that I really liked. Mm-hmm. Because, like you were saying, Steve, the language barrier does turn off some horror fans because they want to almost get a little mindless when it comes to anthologies. They want to see quick hit, flash, sponge activity style stuff. But the storytelling and the way that all the female characters emoted throughout, like, you could actually really get some great storytelling just from that montage of their faces. Unfortunately, trigger warning, while they're being sexually assaulted, you can definitely tell that they've been afflicted by this pretty violently. And then to see how they're gearing up and using all that to the climax of this short film. I really like this, man. I actually watched this 3 times because I wanted to go back again and watch it, because I felt like of all of these things, this one had some of the best physical storytelling, and the gore factor was also pretty cool. So that's good. Yeah.
So just to fast forward a little bit, like the way this story wraps up is that again, the guy you've been following in the club, he is captured by the women, taken to a remote location, and they stab and pummel and kick him to death. Basically, he's into submission, and they have a number of homemade shivs and shanks hidden all over their attire, with like stiletto heels turning into actual ice picks and knives as they kick and stab him. It is fucking brutal. But you're under the assumption the entire time that this guy is a rapist. So you don't feel bad for him at all.
I will give one thing to Germany. Their self-defense classes for women are way superior to America's.
Yes. Yeah.
Bobby Hill did not get confused about who had his purse.
Right.
I was so impressed with that. The one girl who had the razor on her stiletto heel through that roundhouse kick caught him right in the solar plexus. It looked great.
Yeah. They bled him out bad. Unfortunately, part of the capturing method is they put this pig mask over his head and they walked him out of the club saying that he was too drunk. And that's obviously normal for Germany, for somebody to just be drunk in a pig mask. So nobody was questioned on that.
That's why Matt was such a fan of this film.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually watched it 4 times. I didn't want to talk about the 4th time, but I watched it. Continue.
He made his own edit.
You were the pinky.
His own edit.
Oink, oink.
Step on me, mommy. But yeah, they the woman that was introduced in the beginning, who is the one basically looking for revenge on this attacker, because it appears that she is this is a gang that has taken on multitudes of attackers. They have killed a lot of rapists in Germany, and now they're doing this woman a favor in killing her rapist. When they remove the guy's pig mask, though, it's revealed that he's the wrong one, because in the beginning of the film, you see the jacket that was marked with a P, but there was a mix-up, and the coats got switched in the coat room, and they kidnapped a guy who wasn't a rapist. But they have now assaulted him, bled him out, and he is close to dying. And they hand her a knife that is made from the end of a tape measure.
Yes.
I don't know if that would work.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't.
I don't know that would work, but it was such a brutal thing because the edges were so jagged. It was so it was so visceral and
Maybe if you catch that nasal the nasal section just in the right angle, you could do that, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
But it was a great imagery.
Yeah, it was great imagery. She reveals that, like I said, he's not the killer, and she says he's innocent, to which the female force squad of rapist killers is what I've deemed them. They reveal there are no innocents, and they kill him anyway. And that's a pretty brutal ending. My one problem is that her original rapist is still on the loose.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's an unsatisfying part of the film. But overall, I agree with Matt in it was effective storytelling. Again, there's no Christmas in it, but it's a good film to just kind of bolster the good film ratio in this anthology. So that helps. Adams's thoughts?
So I honestly thought it having it being German and having the German language in it, I thought it made it a stronger film. Because with the German language, you can get a lot more of that, anger and emotion with the language rather than, the English language. So I thought that portrayed the anger and the hate that much more that these women were showing, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. In terms of pure films and storytellings, it was one of the strongest ones that I saw in there. Christmas wise, completely agree. 0% Christmas.
Christmas in Germany must be something completely different from what we know.
The closest thing they had was that weird silver tinsel stuff in the club.
Yeah.
That is just, Beaver County strip club tinsel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah, that's nothing new.
Right. And that doesn't count. That doesn't make the cut.
Yeah. Bashline, final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I agree with everybody. Really, I think it was one of the stronger films in this whole anthology. Again, not much Christmas, but maybe they have leather daddy claws over in Germany. I don't know. Is that there was a lot of leather, but and a lot of violence. But yeah, I thought it was one of the stronger films in the whole anthology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I don't think the German hurt it for me. I mean, I agree with Adam that I thought it kind of played up the cinematics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, even though I said kind of earlier about how there are some things lost in translation with some of these films, I feel like this one comes across perfectly fine. I mean, it is very well told and effectively told. So yeah, I don't think you lose anything on this one from it being in a different language, but there are other ones, especially one coming up that we had to watch. That was a little more, not so not so kind on. But we'll move on to number 18, which was They Once Had Horses, which was directed by Lucky McKee. And this is one of the more known names that I was familiar with, as he was the director of the film May. If you guys remember that film.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is it's a oddball of a film, and it's a fun watch. And I say, check it out. I can't talk too much about it without spoiling it, but it is an older film from like early 2000s. So, but the setup of his film is really rather simple and just kind of drops you right in the middle of these two cowboys in the middle of the wilderness. The title says they once had horses because they have no horses in this case. They are huddled around a fire and one is bleeding out profusely. There are monster noises in the dark and they are left alone to their own devices. I like this one. It has style to it, and it's pretty simple, straightforward, and just kind of a dude's rock moment.
I laughed a lot. Yeah. I would say, like, during this one, I was laughing a ton. What I like too, I'm a sucker for black and white, especially when it's creature feature. Mm-hmm. But I wrote down here this one quote because I had to rewind it a bunch of times and listen to it. That swallowed half my ass. So I had to just keep going back and hearing that guy like half dying, just he swallowed half my ass.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's black and white, good use of lighting. Mm-hmm. I thought this was more of a comedic horror approach, and the way they kind of infused Christmas in there with the harmonica again has me. I don't want to spoil too much, but the harmonica towards the end, I was cracking up so much, man.
Yeah, it's such a short and effective film, and just like it's a dude's rock moment because the Christmas side of it is just one guy giving another guy a harmonica and just saying, we've been partners for 11 years and that's what you get. I just got to remember you like that. And it's great. Bashline, thoughts?
Yeah, I like the style. I like the dialogue. Didn't like the story so much. Didn't like the monster. Kind of became silly to me when they were like hearing him in the mountain, and it just sounded like wet diarrhea.
I thought that was fantastic.
I was like, I don't know what that monster is, but I really wanted it. And then it ended up I wanted to see what the monster was. You never get that payoff. But I thought the dialogue was really strong too, because at one point the guy that's basically gutted is like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And the guy's like, well, if we're lucky, this is the last thing we won't want to do. they knew the end was near. So yeah, I thought it was really cool. I just something about the sound effects just made me giggle and took me out of it a little bit.
No, again, May is a very black comedy in a way. So like I believe that Lucky has a very strong sense of what is funny within horror, but when you're saying you want to see the monster, that's you goddamn millennials not thinking about the fact that sometimes you just got to use your imagination.
My imagination was pretty bad. It was like I imagined like a Cthulhu werewolf with like toilet paper instead of tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a poop monster.
Oh, it's like the monster shits in his mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like just a big old dirty ass bear,
Well, he's got half an ass in his mouth. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Half an ass. He's full or not. Or
we don't know.
No, he's obviously not. He's still coming for more ass.
Coming for that ass.
Yeah. This is obviously an insatiable monster. He's had 2 horses' asses and then half a man ass, and he still comes for more man ass. So
coming for that booty.
Yeah. And perhaps some coyote ass. I don't know if he gets it or just they just get away, but
sounds like it.
You hear him.
The other white meat.
Yeah. Top Nation Adam, was this one enjoyable for you as well?
It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. I kind of agree that the wet garble of the monster it took me out of the moment, but it was pretty funny.
Fair enough.
Everything else has already been said. It had its moments, but it was fine.
Fair enough. that one was fine. It's a short little. I mean, that movie was classic padding in an anthology film, but they still got like, again, the cinematography is great, and everything looks nice. So, and it's a short, easily constructed film. So yeah, that's why you go to people like Lucky McKee, because you just need that. You need that solid padding, because the next film is some of the other things that happen in anthologies is you get a mess. The next film is called December 19th, and we'll get into why in a minute, but it is basically just Slavic drinking Christmas. That's where you start. You start in the home of a bunch of Slavs getting fucking wasted. You can tell they're Slavs because if you see peas within mayonnaise, you're in some Eastern Euro cuisine. Like, I don't know where else that happens. That is some unpleasant cuisine, but I still would probably eat it. They also are drinking a lot of terrible, terrible liquors. But yeah, it's called December 19th because it is Saint Nicholas's feast day, and that's in the Eastern Orthodox. That's another clue that we're in Slavic country. We're probably having a Serbian Christmas at this time because they go by the saint's feast day. They don't get into the whole Santa Claus. It's all Saint Nicholas. The third way is because there's a mention of a Yugo and then a showing of a Yugo. So we are firmly in some place that may have formerly been Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, one of those areas. It starts like I said, the film starts with at the party, and you have these two women who are basically eyeing each other up, and then they start talking, and they're talking about how they're family. Then they decide to peace out from the party because the one girl has something to show the other girl, and she has ice skates. She has 2 pairs of ice skates, and she takes her friend to this dilapidated, busted ass ice rink. Just bummed out, sad depression ice rink. It is they're talking on the bench, and they're giving exposition for seemingly no reason, but the one woman reveals that she is the cousin of the other woman, and that she's worried about her brother who's out drunk driving because he got a job as a shitty Santa Claus. And so part of his job is the drunk drive around the neighborhood.
Yup. Delivering hit and runs.
Again, is this where we're losing some translation?
Maybe a little bit.
Possibly.
Is it like there is so much in this film that it's just like messy. It's slapped together. The horror comes in when both women are on the rink. They're skating together, and then they kind of have a meet cute moment where they fall down on the ice together, and then they're talking about being close, and one's cold, and one girl pulls the other girl's titty out. And it's already been established that they're cousins, so everybody's uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable.
Oh my god!
I was plenty comfortable.
And then she begins to suck her tit, and then the girl getting her tit sucked rebukes this, gets up and tries to get away from her. In the process, she falls, mangles her finger in a pretty terrible way, and then through like a series of whoopsie-doo quink-a-dink accidents, the other girl cuts her friend's fingers off, and then stabs her with a skate in the face, and then runs from the scene of the horror, only to get run over by the aforementioned Yugo. And then that's it. Like, what the fuck was this?
Can I say what I renamed this movie?
Please.
It's just called Oops. Oops, I went to a Serbian drinking party. Oops, I went skating while I was drunk. Oops, I licked your titty once. Oops, I chopped your finger off. Oops, I skated your face. Oops, a guy hit me with his car.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops, my drunk cousin ran me over.
And also foreboding. Let me just tell you about this legendary drunken Santa Claus that just so happens to come through this bombed out old school that has an ice rink in it and murders you with a car. Whoa. Didn't see it coming, man. Didn't see it coming.
Very subtle foreshadowing.
Mhm.
What did we learn from this?
You lick a titty one time, you're gonna get hit by a Yugo.
Yeah. Don't stuck your cousin's titty in Serbia.
Words to live by.
Boom.
Yeah, when the Yugo came through, all I could think of was, oh, they actually did it. I was hoping there was going to be some level of misdirection, because as soon as that started being talked about, like, all right, I see what's going to happen, but no way they're actually going to do it. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just so, I don't know. It's so on the nose, but at the same time, like I was trying to find some sort of subtext, and honest to God, the only subtext I could find was Eastern European homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
don't do girl on girl or else you die. That's a terrible film.
Yeah, don't do girl on girl in Serbia. Come to America, have a podcast, and you get 10 million hits an episode. Come on, come to America.
Sure. Yeah. It is. Yeah. This, I don't know. This movie's just sad and a mess. I don't like it. Let's move on.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody disagrees with me that they don't like it.
Let's hit.
No
let's
further
hit
discussion.
Let's hit it with a Yugo and move forward.
Oh, although just one final note, Matt, you had an alternate title for this, and oops, I also had an alternate title in a Serbian film for the holidays.
Yeah, there's weird inter-family titty licking.
Yeah.
Definitely, it works for me, man.
Yep. Just the starting. It's a Serbian film, Christmas Vacation. But yeah, the next film, Getting Away from It All. And this one is another, it's pretty simple. Just a guy is in his car driving to his getaway. He's getting away from Christmas. He's trying to seclude himself in a cabin for the remainder of the holidays. And you're told basically, through assault via the radio about, just ad upon ad and a mention of Rush Limbaugh. Rest in piss. Like, that is, the holidays are grating and this dude's trying to escape from it. As he's sequestered alone in his cabin, he starts hearing bumps and jumps in the night, and he's investigating, and it turns out to be carolers. Oh no. But then the carolers actually do turn out to be sinister. They push him into his home. Some more carolers pop out from under the bed, which was hilariously terrifying. And then they cut his foot off as they gag his mouth with the socks that he gets for Christmas. Not too much going on in this film.
It was a ripoff. I'm pretty sure it was a ripoff from a Family Guy episode.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure that happened on a Family Guy Christmas episode where I think it was Quagmire ended up getting sucked into a caroling group. And it was the same thing where they just start coming in through the doors and the windows and coming from underneath the bed and stuff like that, as a send up, except this wasn't a send up. This was supposed to be legitimate.
Yeah.
And it completely took me out of it because I've already seen this, but it was supposed to be funny. It wasn't funny then. It's not funny now.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Knowing it's just a ripoff of a Family Guy just makes me actually look lesser on it.
Yeah. And I didn't understand the point of the Diabetes Choir, why they took his foot.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because you don't need these socks anymore, motherfucker. That's why we took your foot.
Yeah, it wasn't clear. Like, I wish there. Like, that's a couple things that they could improve with this. Is like, if the gift was more related to something else rather than just being like a tool in his demise. And like, why did they cut his foot? Like, why that? It didn't. There was nothing.
The only thing I could think of there, and I couldn't make the connection, was they sawed off his foot, and earlier in the film he stepped on an ornament and cut his foot, but like there was no real connection.
Mm-mm.
Like it was supposed to be like a penance for,
I don't know, for hating
Right.
Christmas.
But like, so like the way you set that up though is like, not that he steps on an ornament, but like he kicks over a Christmas tree, or like he like, you have to say, like, the thing is, the character that's being assailed, it's not that he's unlikable. Like, you just feel nothing. Like you kind of agree. You're like, yeah, sometimes I wish I could get the fuck away from the holidays.
I completely related with him. I hate Christmas.
Yeah. So
there you go.
So there you go. So yeah, if they set him up more as like a Scrooge, and like he's like kicking Christmas tree ornaments and like that kind of shit, like just really taking it out on the holidays, and then he was later punished in fashions for that, that would make more sense. But
see, I thought maybe at first they're gonna try to go for like a misery angle, where they're gonna keep him there until he gets his jolly and cheer. But there was nothing said about that.
Right. There it just ends. So
Right.
yeah, you're right. That's another way that they could make it more interesting though, is like if he, gets the holiday spirit, through torture, like,
right.
We can't instill it through cookies and cheer. Let's instill it through pain and misery. So yeah.
The one thing I really liked about it when I went back and watched it again was all the different camera angles they had. That's where everybody came from. So when you go back and that's where everyone's hiding in the house, and you watch those camera angles again, it has a higher sense of creepiness to it.
Okay.
But other than that, I really didn't, the substance is kind of lacking. I also don't understand why he took his foot. The one thing I do like, though, is the unwavering stare the one girl has while she's just getting a ketchup bottle spray all over.
Absolutely.
Great job.
Yeah.
Just took it like a champ.
Yeah. She for lack of any like better PC term than this, she is taking money shots of fake blood.
Yep.
And just smiling through it all, barely blinking. And just the two actors on the side of her too are also like taking hard blood spurts in their face, and they all have this plastered on fake robot smile. It is unpleasant and uncomfortable. It's a great visual, but everything else around it, like I feel like that shot was so strong that the rest of the film was probably built around that.
Yeah.
So somebody envisioned it, and then like, what do we do to get there? So yeah. Again, it's an okay film, sort of. This is one of those things that is interesting about anthologies, is when you go through so many films, you usually don't have time to sit and think about how much you liked or disliked it, because already the next film is playing. This is one of those. Don't think about it too much. Just go, I had a time for fucking 3 seconds. There was
that box is checked.
Yeah, there was that one shot. I like that one shot. Oh, here's a new film. So with that, here's a new film. Moving on to number 21, Family Feast. This one I enjoyed a lot. But there's two things that kind of fall short, but hope we can talk about them. You're again in a family home setting for Christmas. This is Montreal, because people are speaking both French and English, and it's obnoxious. But you have basically all the trappings of unpleasant Christmas. You have shitty mom who's telling you you're fat. You have disaffected dad. You have elderly relatives that are just practically dying in the chairs. You have your siblings, which you hate because they are, obnoxious in their success. And then you have our protagonist, Rose, who is just trying to survive. And I identify with Rose. I get her.
Yes, she is all of us.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, she's great. She's just trying to navigate her way through the house, basically bouncing room to room, avoiding the relatives that she does not want to see. And as she does that, basically making laps through the house, she's also drinking from the punch bowl as much as she can. And she's really just downing it, getting it in.
It's a good move.
Yeah. There is one bit of attention that's paid extra strong to. There is a creepy uncle dressed as Santa Claus, and he is first seen chasing small children through the house, saying he's going to gobble their buns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the children's mother is very quick to say, no, children, come here, sit down. as it's not so much that they're in trouble, but it is more alluded to the fact that you need to stay away from Uncle Bob or whatever his fucking name was.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I nicknamed him Uncle Touchy.
Yeah. It becomes very apparent that he is a handsy uncle. At one point, Rose is just kind of scanning the room, and Uncle Touchy catches her eye and tries to lead her to come over and basically makes a gesture to come sit on his lap, despite the fact that he's a very old man and she is a woman in her 30s. And that is wildly gross.
Yeah. Super gross, man. I felt creepy at that very point.
Yeah.
I felt greasy, like Rico Suave greasy.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good there.
Well, remember, this film is Canadian, so it's mega greasy.
Crazy.
So great.
Butane.
Again, just Rose is making more laps through the house, but things continue to get weirder and weirder as she makes laps in the house. She starts seeing things that aren't there. She starts, the lighting starts changing around her, and she starts seeing monster faces. She starts seeing people as dead. She starts seeing at one point what she believes to be her mother and her mother's friend eating the hands of the children. Yeah. Brutal.
I like that part. I like that part a lot.
It was gross, but it was pretty great. Eventually this all just leads to Rose losing her mind in the kitchen, and as it's progressing, Uncle Touchy is getting grosser and more just like monstrous to look at. So it becomes very, very apparent that he's like the biggest stressor for Rose, despite everything else around her being stressors as well. Uncle Touchy just comes into the kitchen and he gets too close to her, and she grabs a knife, stabs him in the neck, and then plops him up on the counter and just basically guts him like a goose. And leaving her family horrified.
Or relieved. We don't know.
Relieved. Yeah.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because there was that kind of moment of,
Yeah.
what do we do here?
Nobody started crying and nobody said no.
Yeah.
But everybody was kind of bummed.
Everyone had that hive mind moment of psychopathy where like, do we pretend to be sad now? Oh yeah. Oh no, Rose, you stabbed.
It was probably less less sympathy for Uncle Touchy getting the knife, and more just like, oh, are we next? That's all. They don't care. They don't care about him getting stabbed. They just don't want to be stabbed next.
Self-preservation kicked in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, overall, I like this one a lot. The two things about it though that I felt they could have done better. So there's a scene where they make a very obvious focus on the TV, and the TV that's being watched by the grandfather, it is playing a news story about a holiday killing. So like somebody went off and shot their family with a rifle, that same night. I wish they did a little better job of making a thread to where something that Rose was doing, like, or eating or touching, like had the consequence of like, oh, there's actually like there's an epidemic of holiday killings because of this one thing. Mm-hmm. But they I don't know, I felt like that's what they were setting up, but they didn't really follow through with it. Did anybody else catch that or see something?
I felt like they were trying to make, I thought they were going to go on that parallel path to kind of give it justification as to what happened. Mm-hmm. and I was waiting for that payoff until like I went back and watched it again. And I think what this thing's really doing here is the stress that Rose, you can tell that she endures this every Christmas season.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people that changed were the people she saw to be, like, in her brain, pieces of shit. So everybody who was terrible turned into these monsters. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why the creepy uncle was the worst of them all, because she saw him not only as a bad person, but also like sexually aggressive and, you know, unrelenting. So he became like the golem of the whole thing. So I think it was like the trigger for her. She
Mm-hmm.
saw the violence on TV and then mixed it with the, you know, being intoxicated and then also having the worst time of her life, which I understand being at a family party is the worst time of my life, guaranteed every time.
Yeah.
But I just won't stab anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. I just felt like there wasn't enough of a trigger, like, of her, like, being drunk. Like, being drunk make you do a lot of stupid things, but not hallucinate and fucking, you know, go hard violence. So
Yeah.
I just wish there was like one little hint to like something being in the Jello, or, you know, or like a shitty cousin dosing her with something, you know.
PCP, baby.
Mhm.
Yeah. What did the Adamses think about this film?
So I enjoyed it as well.
Mhm.
Like we said before, she is a very relatable character. We've all been there. We've all had to trudge through that. And I thought that they were going to work the angle of the punch also being, you know, kind of a hallucinogen, you know, pushing her over the edge, and seeing that news story kind of, you know, morphing her brain a little bit of, well, why don't I make that my reality?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sort of thing. And I thought that was kind of the angle that they were going to work, but it just never materialized. But overall, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was one of the best ones of the bunch. So, and it had Christmas themes too. It was an actual film based on Christmas.
Yes. Yes. It
Points
was,
for that.
it was strong all around.
Yes.
Bashline, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was one of the stronger ones. It definitely played on Christmas strong. I echo what all of you thought about kind of making a connection to what triggered it. The only thing that disappointed me is I wanted her to stab the brother instead of Uncle Touchy, because the obnoxious brother was the worst. And there's like 3 of those in my family, and I want to knock all of them. So I was hoping the brother was going to get a little bit of violence at least, but yeah, maybe next year.
Maybe next year. All right. Well, let's move on to our next film. And this one is called Before Sundown. Again, this one starts at a party. There's a lot of holiday party going on. And this one I like. It starts with a nice one shot that takes you through the party. You're following the character as he just basically works his way through what would be like a classic teen party. The parents are out of town, so the kids are playing drinking games and, you know, smoking a little bit of the weed and possibly having sex in bedrooms that they don't belong in. But yeah, we're just following this kid as he makes his way through the party, and then eventually he finds his sister and drags her away from the boy she's talking to in a very hilarious way by slapping the drink out of her hand. I don't know why. I'm in my mid-30s and there's nothing funnier than just smacking food out of somebody's hand. But yeah, he drags his sister away, and then I assume they're met by their other brother. That's the way this character played to me. Was I wrong?
I have no idea who he was.
I didn't know if it was a brother or like a really good friend. One of the 2, though. Yeah.
Yeah, they make mention of like the whole thing is they have to go home now, and they're all Jewish, so they have to stop to get candles for the menorah, and they're gonna make some klugel. And I thought he was another brother just because they accused him of being terrible at being Jewish, and he said we haven't been Jewish since Mom died, and then he also makes reference to his sister Carol, who's now all about Christmas, as she's hanging out at a Christmas party and getting on with the Gentiles. So, yeah, I assumed they were all family, but I don't know. It wasn't as clear to me.
I didn't. I mean, I was trying to establish a connection, but I was getting more of like those good friend vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all go to the same synagogue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting from it.
Okay. So, on their bike ride home and to the stores, the one kid's telling a story about how they used to have to get home before sundown because something in the darkness would come and take them, and he's telling it basically as an old Jewish myth that there was something in the dark, and then they lost the story. It's such an ancient Judaic story. That they kind of lost the reasons why for this, but he says that it happens every 13th year on a cycle, and they're on that 13th year. It's a heavy exposition dump just to kind of move things along to make it make sense as to why a monster pops up. I tried to find something in Judaic myth and mythology about what this monster I couldn't find anything. Anybody else?
The only thing I can think of that comes close to, and it doesn't really make sense because it's materialized as a Dybbuk.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I could really think of. But Dybbuks are usually all about possession.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is a materialized monster clearly. So I tried to find it too. And if I can just I don't know, I'll hang my yarmulke on a Dybbuk.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't find too much. There are some beasts and monsters mentioned. A lot of them are actually vampire-esque. I think I felt like I found one, but it was also called it was a bird that came down and sucked goats, and that was like the closest thing I could get was a bird that came in the darkness and killed goats in the darkness. It's the closest I could get.
That could make sense too, because the kids being sacrificial to a degree, they're the ones that have to go get the things to bring it to the adults. They're kind of like goats to a slaughter, lambs to a slaughter.
Yeah. I just couldn't find anything that stuck with that 13-year cycle, which seemed like that's a real important part of a monster's mythos. And as you were talking about, like the Dybbuk, that wasn't in its mythology. So yeah, and then Leviathan, that didn't fit. So
I wish it did. Though that'd be sick as fuck.
Yeah, I gave up. I gave up on that. So, but yeah, overall, the what we're getting to though is the one kid is attacked and killed by something, a shadow in the darkness, rips him off his bike, and basically tears his face off, and so it's up to the other kids to race home for safety. And it turns out the one girl, she saves her brother and smashes whatever it was in the dark, kills it. It's a I don't know, it's a short effective film, but it's not, I don't know, it's not that great because of that heavy exposition dump, but it really felt like the best student film.
Yeah. I could agree with that. I also think too, I don't like the idea that everyone's supposed to be fearful of these monsters, whatever they may be, yet to be identified. And one angsty girl who got cock blocked by her brother can kill it with a candlestick. I didn't really like that part. Could have been killing these things for years, man. Let it just take people. Candlestick, bro. Come on. This isn't a game of Clue.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah. I don't know. Bashline?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I thought it was a lot of exposition, and I thought it could have paid off really well, and the payoff just was weak. It was weak. I didn't like how it ended. But not bad. It was shot really nice. I liked how all the cinematography and everything was great.
Mm-hmm.
Just the end was really flat.
Yeah, like I said, I thought it was the best student film because I really feel like it was more about that one shot through the party that you start with, and that's kind of like the exercise of the student film. Like, can you do a one shot and show me a good example of that? And then they build a short film around it. So yeah. Hop Nation Adam, any extra thoughts on this?
No, this one was honestly just filler to
Mhm.
me. This one was just another one. Check the box, move on. It was fine, but I think at that point I was ready for a commercial break. I was kind of relieved to get a commercial break.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I did. It was just another one. Didn't care that much.
Got to fill that word count to 24.
That's right. That's exactly what this was.
Yeah, there's obvious talent behind the film, but overall, just as a film, it's not anything that you would watch on its own. It's just something that comes on during this. So, yeah. Moving on to number 23, Christmas Cracker. And this is possibly my favorite film in the entire series. I'm so glad that we get to talk about this one because I love this one. It is a very simple setup in which you have a family sitting around dinner, mother, father, daughter, sleepy ass grandma. And they are just finishing up dinner, and it is time to open the Christmas crackers. For people who aren't aware, in the countries that still worship the Queen, they have this tradition called Christmas crackers, which is a very, like, I don't know, it's just feels like a remnant from World War II or World War I, Depression era fucking presents, in which you just rip open gift wrapped toilet paper rolls, and inside the toilet paper rolls there's usually like a joke, as we see in the film, or there's also like small toys, treats, or even like a paper crown. Yeah. It's a real Depression era fucking toy and gift. But these Christmas crackers are being held in an ammo box.
I love that part. That's one of my favorite visuals of this whole thing, man.
Yeah. The father is very insistent that they have to do the Christmas crackers now, even denying his own daughter the ability to open her gifts before they do the Christmas crackers. He opens the ammo box and he does one with his wife. And this is the best part of the film, is that if you know how tame what a Christmas cracker is, you know, it's not even like a champagne bottle streamer popper. Like, there's no explosives in it. It's just ripping toilet paper rolls. It's really all it is. And so the fear on the wife's face and the music and just this incredible amount of tension that is being built, and you don't know why. Why is it so tense? That is the most fantastic part about this film, outside of everything else. So they rip one open, and then the dad finds a joke, and he tells an awful dad joke.
I thought it was fantastic.
Well,
I did chuckle. I chuckled.
Yeah. It's a laugh, and it's also like an uncomfortable laugh because you're just like, what are we building towards? They then do the other one, and they do one for the wife, and again another joke, and another joke is told. It is then time for the daughter to do one, and the wife is so fearful that she reaches for a knife as if she's going to stab the father. And again, you are confused, but you are tense and you are upset. And he insists the entire time. There is a timer that's ticking down, a little Santa egg timer that is ticking down 180 seconds, I believe it was, in which these crackers have to be pulled for some reason. When they do, something happens. We don't know what at this point. But it is now time for the daughter to do her Christmas cracker. She's holding it in her hand. She's shaking with fear. The wife is upset. And then Nana, who's been asleep the entire time, wakes up, and with the greatest line delivery, she says, "Oh, Christmas crackers, is it then? Let's have a go." Grabs it, rips it, and then her head fucking explodes.
Oh,
yeah, I really love this film, but I could talk about it for the rest of the episode, but I won't. I'm going to let somebody else talk about it. I'm pretty sure we all enjoyed this one, I can guess. So if anybody else has something to say, go on ahead.
To me, this was by far my favorite of the ones that I was forced to watch.
Don't say it like that.
This one was actually enjoyable, though. I actually like this one. But I think, and I'm going to go a touch negative here, I think they did the film a disservice by putting it so late in the series. Because you're so numb to all the other ones, and all of a sudden you got this gem at the end. You may not be paying attention because chances are you're probably slogging through this to get to the end. And you may not, give this film the service it deserves. I feel like this one should have been a little bit earlier, but I'm glad it was towards the end because then I watched it.
Right.
So from a personal point of view, I'm glad it was towards the end, but overall, I think it should have been further up.
From somebody who started at 15, you're saying this one needed to be earlier.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. But one thing that nobody has mentioned yet, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, was the jingle.
Yeah.
The jingle was great. I mean, they actually put some thought into that. The animation was very, in line with the scene that they were trying to set. I thought it was very well executed. I thought that was just as good as the tension in the first, 2/3 of the short film. I thought it was great. It tied everything together nicely.
So just I'll touch on that real quick. We've been talking a lot about how exposition has bogged some of these films down and just really fucking not done them a good service. This one is great because, like you're saying, Adam, it all came at the end. And the big reveal is that these Christmas crackers are a population control method for a space station that is adrift. And they've turned this benign Christmas thing into a manner of random selection of deleting people from the
it's population control.
Yeah. But and again, there's a little animation and a little, explainer at the very end, and that's great because you don't have it ruining the tension of the film in the beginning. So yeah,
because if you had that at the beginning of the film, you probably wouldn't care nearly as much because you know what's going to happen, and you don't have any reason to care for any of the characters over any of the other ones. So you don't have any to root for or pull for. So it would pretty much ruin it if it was at the beginning.
Right. Matt, thoughts?
I think the one thing that created a ton of tension for me throughout this was the color palette. There is something infinitely creepy and very it brings all my senses up to a high alert when I see that like super vibrant, almost like bleachy Technicolor from like the first color TV. And they turned this thing up. They fried it, I guess is what they said. They fried the colors. And then it's like, it just created so much tension. And then that color palette actually, if you notice, starts to fade away as they get close to the ending. So almost like it's easing you into the climax of it. So that's why it's very smart. Like the story itself is awesome, but the visuals are smart, and the way they like hook you into the end is just really smart. I'm gonna keep saying it a million times, but it's short package, smart storytelling. I loved it, man. If the anthology had more of these, this would be a very, very you must see it anthology.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the kind of film that if you pulled it out and just set it on its own and had somebody watch it, that is what would pull them into the rest of the anthology.
Yeah.
And then they would be disappointed. But that was what
You're right.
You're right. But yeah. This is definitely a film that like stands on its own legs, no problem at all. And you can put it into any film festival and have people enjoy it. Bashline, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys. I thought the tension was cranked up through the whole thing. It was making me more and more anxious. And then with every dad joke, you got like a little brief ease of tension and just like, that was stupid. And building it up until grandma's head explodes at the end. And the dad just exclaims, "Anybody for charades?" And I was what a perfect ending. And the other thing that built up a lot of tension and creeped me out, the mother/wife in this really, really, really resembled a late in life Michael Jackson, which was uncomfortable. Just the way her makeup and hair was unsettling.
Yeah. And that, like, again, that just all plays into the entire aesthetic. We've touched on it bits and pieces here and there. Like Matt's mentioned the color palette, and you're talking about the makeup. The makeup is it's all very 1950s, 1960s type of, family sitcom. And it also just, because you later find out it's on a space station in space, and the animation at the very end, this feels like Fallout, the movie.
Yeah.
This feels like the Fallout games.
I was thinking Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser.
What a reference.
You win.
One of 4 people that saw that movie.
Yeah.
We're all here, buddy.
So this is the convention, huh?
Yes. This is, the Brendan Fraser convention. Up next, our Encino Man paddle. But yeah, Christmas Cracker. It is a great one. If you just want to isolate this film in some way, like we said, it's 23rd, so just kind of skip towards the middle end. You'll find it. But
Doobie won't let you.
Yeah, this is a great one. On to our 24th film in the 24th film anthology that actually has 26. This is Operation Dolph. I like this one too. This one it's silly and it's goofy, but essentially it starts with it is a slovenly Santa is the best way to put it. A slovenly, drugged out Santa wearing shooting range glasses is in the middle of the desert. He breaks into possibly the gaudiest, ugliest home. But then I also just assume all homes in Arizona look like this.
It's Arizona chic.
Yeah, and I'm not going to Arizona to be proven wrong. So he is confronted by 2 children, of which he quickly kills. One by body slamming the shit out of, and the other breaking his neck.
Yeet.
Yes. Yes, this movie gets immediate bonus points for being a child eating film. After he kills the children, he's confronted by the mother of the children, who comes out from a back bedroom, and she attacks him, and then they have a tussle in the kitchen. She gives him a couple stabs as he chokes her to death. It's very brutal.
There's a lot of meth. There's so much meth.
Here's the thing. I don't know if it's meth. We'll get into it in a second. But Santa goes out back into the backyard to find a drug operation, and he goes into basically a large shed, just like an annex. It's something the general built. He goes in. He's had a handgun on him the entire time, pulls out the handgun, shoots somebody dealing in some sort of kilo. He's moving some sort of weight. Santa kills him. And then there's a obvious chemist in his, his Jesse suit, in his clean suit. And he is screaming in his face, "Where is he?" as he smashes this guy's face with his bare hands and crushes his skull in his hands. And the chemist begs for his life, and he says he's out back. Santa goes out back, is shot in the back by an AK-47, survives that just fine, to back body drop his assailant and then stomp his skull in. And this all leads to Santa discovering in a camouflaged canopy, much like you would, hide weed in the olden days. He finds Rudolph has been captured. He was stolen, and stolen by these drug dealers. What a fantastic little film. Santa saves Rudolph. So, yeah, I like this one. There's a lot going on, but I'll let you guys give thoughts before I add on more.
I just want to say this because I wrote it down, and I said Santa's trip to Bethlehem resulted in the death of 2 children and a mother. I think that encapsulates this whole short from beginning to end. And the reason why I know it's meth is because you see the Southern Rebel flag and you see the hood for a KKK member, and they are predominantly meth dealing society, or whatever the hell you want to call them, dick bags. Their currency is meth.
They deal in racism and meth.
Yes. But I loved it, man. It's just a funny, like, it just nods to like The Big Lebowski, nods to Breaking Bad, nods to like the old expose films back in the early 80s, where it was always like these people versus the KKK. So I loved all of it. And then that it's Santa saving Rudolph at the end was a cool twist. I like that.
Yeah. Either of the Adams, thoughts?
Yeah, so my notes for this one were very entertaining. I just wrote down what was happening in pluses or minuses. So I have Santa pulls up in Coke glasses, plus. Breaks a kid's neck, plus. Shoots a meth dealer, plus. The only part that took me out of it, and my only minus, was when he crushed the chemist's head. It just literally looked like he smeared a ketchup packet on his face.
Yeah.
And like, it took me out a little bit, but then I got right back in with the head stomp, plus. And then he made sexy eyes at Rudolph, plus.
Right.
I thought it was very cheesy, very corny, but super enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Hub Nation?
It was no Christmas cracker, but it was pretty.
I honestly, I didn't like it until the very end with the payoff.
Yeah.
And the payoff kind of brought everything together so that it all made a lot more sense. Instead, because watching it, it looked like just that old trope of a guy in an old beat up, Santa Claus outfit trying to pillage his way through something because he's the bad guy, but then finding out that he's the good guy on a rescue mission, so to speak. And that tied it all together quite nicely because they don't give you that information. They don't tell you what he's doing.
Right.
You just sort of assume that he's, on some sort of drug-induced rampage.
Yeah.
But then you find out what he's doing. Like, all right, no, I get this. All right, I like this. I'm all right with this.
So just a couple notes just to add on to this. It is directed by Trent Haga, which may or may not be recognizable to some of you. Definitely not. Yeah, definitely not you. But he got his start in Trauma. So he worked on Terra Firma, and he was in Citizen Toxie. Then you may also recognize him from Full Moon Features. He does the Killjoy movies. So yeah, he actually plays Killjoy in those movies. But yeah, he directed this one, and the 2 kids that are killed, I believe, are actually his sons. They have the same last name. So that's from the Trauma School of Filmmaking, where a lot of the early 90s trauma films, Lloyd Kaufman would kill his daughters on screen. So another note I wanted to add, though, was Matt, you already mentioned the KKK hood and the Stars and Bars flag, but did you notice in the house at the end of the hallway, there's an MLK painting?
No.
Yeah.
Oh makes sense.
So they are truly the white trashiest of the trash because they have an MLK painting and a Southern flag.
Now I gotta go back and watch it again.
Yeah. Truly a confusion of, is it heritage or is it hate? I think yes.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes, because we're also in the desert. These people don't know what the fuck they are. Another note, I don't think it was important to the story, but it was something that was definitely focused on, is when they Santa and the mother are wrestling, there's a pan around the room, and then you come back to the mother's leg, and it's very apparent that she's an amputee. I don't know if
I didn't
anybody
even
else
catch
caught
that.
I didn't catch that either.
It's a very quick shot, but her pant leg rolls up, and you can see that she's very obviously an amputee. And it's like, why? I don't know why they focused on it, but the way the camera is framed, it seems very deliberate. And I was like, okay,
Misdirection.
yeah. It's like, all right. I guess it again, because at this point Santa has killed 2 children, and now he's attacking a disabled woman. Maybe we're supposed to feel like really like uncomfortable with what Santa's up to. So
To be fair, she didn't have to be an amputee for me to feel uncomfortable.
I know, but I'm just saying it adds to those layers.
I also give her way more credit in her fight scene then, because she really laid in the business being an amputee.
Yeah. You I guess maybe you could assume that she was, maybe military service. So Santa is attacking a woman who, after killing her children, who is in the service. You're really, really supposed to feel bad at this moment.
That's a stand your ground desert. He can do whatever he wants. He was well within his rights. Those children were threatening. And I think this is a good alternative for like what Bad Santa should have been. Like if Billy Bob Thornton just snapped that curly headed fuck's neck at the beginning, way better.
Also, she has the MLK painting up. So at this point, you assume that they believe Black Lives Matter. At this point, you assume that. But then you see their laundry, and then you go, no, they don't believe that.
Yeah, Santa said no lives matter. He came through that bitch, and he took everybody out.
Oh, yeah.
He was not prejudiced whatsoever. Everybody had to die.
Yeah.
He was only showing love to that reindeer.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
Were they making meth out of something that Rudolph had? That's what I didn't understand.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
maybe it was Christmas magic.
From his dick.
I'll just go with
gross.
I mean, it was white, and it was not the antlers.
And the bedroom eyes he gave Rudolph at the end. I was like, oh my God.
That was magic.
See, yeah, that I assumed they were making something out of Rudolph, but that's what I assumed. But also, it could have just been like a wild drug purchase, because
just went on a bender and just picked off Rudolph.
Yeah,
he went full Tyson. He didn't get a tiger. He went and got Rudolph.
Yeah, got a magic reindeer. So
eBay has everything.
But yeah. Overall, it's a nice little way to kind of end the film as a whole. The anthology as a whole. You get Christmas Cracker, and then you get this, and you basically go out on a high note. I think, which a lot of people are appreciative of. You do get 2 extra short films within the credits. We can leave those as Easter eggs for the people if we want. I'm not too.
I wasn't super psyched about either of them. So
yeah. I'm not too keen on just really diving into them. They're fine, and it's something to watch in the credits. But yeah, I'll say as a whole anthology, what really surprised me about all of this? There isn't a single animated film.
Yeah. Yeah, no claymation, no animation, no like secondary medium, because that's what I was waiting for. Because there's always like one or two. But I didn't see one.
Yeah, the ABCs of Death. Oh, ABCs of Death has some good animations in there, and then you just always associate animation with Christmas when you think about How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and then that one with the dinosaurs that went a wassailing. Everybody remembers that one.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, that was a surprise for me. But final thoughts on this?
Fun watch. It was a fun watch. There were hits and misses. I think that's any anthology. I think the high points were super high, and the unfortunate nature of this one, the low points were really, really low. So you got to kind of roll the dice. It's a fun movie to watch, especially with friends that like horror movies, because the bad ones are fun to make fun of, and the good ones are great, as we're doing here, to sit back and analyze why they're good. So I liked it.
Yeah, I think I think we probably lucked out reviewing the last 8 because I think it was like probably the strongest 8 out of all of them. I do agree with Matt though. If you watch this with a friend, it would be enjoyable whether it was bad or good.
Mhm.
But those first 8, I think there was one enjoyable one for me, and everybody can go listen to what they thought of it at Halloween Is Forever. But yeah, I was like struggling to stay awake and just not enjoying myself. But I did like for the most part, they were either like so bad they were funny or they were actually good. So
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. As far as a Christmas anthology, I thought it was really ambitious, and they did pretty well.
Hop Nation Adam, this is your time to shine as a non-horror film buff or enjoyer.
I like Adam's word, ambitious. I thought that hit the nail right on the head.
Mhm.
The ones that were hits. You know, as somebody who is not a horror aficionado, there were a few in there that I did legitimately enjoy.
Mhm.
You know, the Christmas crackers. That one should be honestly pulled out from the rest of them, and it should kind of be its own thing.
Yeah.
And one or two can kind of tag along. We can argue about which one or two can tag along, but beyond that, the rest of them, I don't need to deal with them. Again, they're in my brain. They don't need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll get replaced.
Ambitious.
They'll get replaced with Family Guy episodes soon enough. You'll be okay.
I don't want that either.
Well, I'm just saying it'll happen. So you're saying basically if Christmas Crackers was like on YouTube, you would have no problem just being able to show that to your family and go, watch this fun little family film. And
Yes.
yeah.
You know, that's the kind of thing that if you're looking for a short horror Christmas film, which I know is a very, tight niche, that's the one you start with.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way you guys do. There is a lot of slogging through this anthology. There is some not great stuff. I do agree that we got the best 8, with the exception of that Slavic film. That one is fucking doo-doo.
There is a titty in it though, so that's
there's a titty in it, which is
totally
wild.
redeeming.
Wild.
Out of nowhere too.
Which I can't remember, but it might be like the only titty in the whole anthology. So,
So we're giving it a gentleman C.
Yeah, so a lotto. But it is it is not good, but thank God we also get Christmas Crackers and Operation Dolph and all the other good stuff. It is not something I'm probably going to rewatch during the holidays, but I might see if I can pull out Christmas Crackers some way. Watch that again. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. And there's one in the first 8 that I enjoy. I forget the name of it. It's because it's in Spanish and my Spanish isn't good enough, but go re-listen to part 1 with Brian. He also enjoyed that one. It's just like this absurdist, surreal film, and it's pretty good. I enjoy it. And you will too. With that though, we've come to the end of our Christmas journey, but this is the beginning of 2022. So stay tuned for everything that we're going to get into. However, I'm going to give this time now to the Decayin With The Boys to promote all of their wares, where you can find them, and what's going on with their show.
Go ahead, Matt.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having us on. Halloween Is Forever is one of our favorite podcasts to listen to, and it was really cool to get on here with you guys. So thanks to Steve. Just great host.
Yeah,
man.
Just Steve. Adam didn't have anything to do with this one.
I was told to show up, but I showed up.
But if you want to check out what's going on with me and Adam, let's say we come from the Jojatorium, you can just find us at Decayin WTB on all social media. It's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have new episodes dropping on Sundays, and we do some listener polls on Tuesdays. And you can always send us your fun emails, which we usually get that are outlandish, at decayinwtb@gmail.com. And we look forward to you guys listening to us. And hopefully we get to come back again on Halloween Is Forever, because this is a ton of fun.
Awesome. And Hop Nation Adam, why don't you actually promote Hop Nation USA?
Sure, I could certainly do that. If you'd like to find new episodes of Hop Nation USA every Friday, as you should, just search Hop Nation USA. That'll get you Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those other social medias. We don't have the TikTok. We're too old for that. We passed on it. You'll see too many gray hairs. We don't need to get involved in that. But your favorite podcatcher, Podbean, Stitcher, Anchor. We're on Pandora. We're on the other one. Just search us. You'll find us. And when you do, leave a 5-star review because
we are a 6-star show, but I haven't figured out how to leave reviews on Spotify yet.
And that's a bigger crime than Steve not figuring everything out to get us to the top dog so we can take all that Joe Rogan money.
It's a new feature. I don't understand it yet.
I don't either. I just found out about that yesterday.
Yeah. But yes, thanks to all my guests coming on. I had the most guests, which makes me the best. I am the best with the most guests.
Yes. The hostess with the mostest, baby.
That's right. Always winning with Beetlejuice.
Yes. Deservedly so.
Deservedly so. But yes, again, if you want to follow Halloween is Forever, we are on Instagram at Halloween is Forever, Hallow Forever on Twitter, Halloween is Forever Pod on Facebook and TikTok. And if you want to send us an email, all you got to do is send us one at halloweenisforeverpod@gmail.com. And if you want a sticker, leave us a 5-star review, screenshot it, and hit them DMs. They're always open. We're also taking any kind of suggestions for upcoming showdowns, movies we should be watching, things you want to hear about. If you want to hear us talk about spooky serials, maybe we can do that in the future. Who knows? We're open to suggestions. But with that, I want to thank everybody again. Happy New Year. And from the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Steve.
I'm Matt.
I'm Adam.
And I'm also Adam.
Oh, bye.